Let's talk about Bible now. From time to time, you'll see over the years maybe a new book being added or small changes here and there. But in 2023, several of our Bible programs are getting an update. So can you explain why we decided to do that this year?
Yeah, it was time to look at our Bible program. Oftentimes we have a history program we want to revamp, or our readers or something like that. And it was time to look at our Bible books and just reevaluate each one. We went through each one and said, is this still appropriate? Is this still the best of the best? Is this what we want our kids to see? The other thing that we evaluated is we feel like, with culture shifting or just how the world is now, we wanted kids to be more prepared to know their faith and defend it, and to be able to speak eloquently with others about it, speak respectfully and honestly about their faith. And so we have added quite a few books that are in the apologetics category, where we're talking about what people believe and why they believe it. And so this will give our students, your kids, time to explore those concepts while they're at home with you. And we really want them to know their faith and to be able to explain it to others.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any of those books here with us? Any of the new ones? I know you've got a stack there. So yeah,
I've got a couple stacks. This one is called The Radical Book for Kids. It's very well illustrated and kind of more bite-sized pieces. We wanted to pick books that were pleasing to students so that they would want to read them. This goes on just different topics. This is What Do You Do When You're Afraid? Women Who Gave Their Lives for Christ. That talks about Lottie Moo. And I know a lot of missionaries that we talk about. Latin words you should know. It's very nice to look at. I know my son flipped through it when I showed it to him and was like, oh yeah, I'm interested in this. And he read a little bit more. There's just different pieces of that. That one is going into our level F program. I know that'll be really good. These are two books that we're adding to C and D. These are two books about talking to your kids about Jesus and about God. These are actually written to parents so that they have ideas of what conversations to have with their kids. We found it was so readable, it was so approachable that you can read this directly to your kid and read with them. And that way they hear those explanations. But this is bringing up what things do we believe, and how does that differ from other people, and how do we talk about it, and what are the reasons why? And I think a lot of times, we talk to our kids and we want them to have the right answer, but with faith, that's something different. You really want them to own it and have it be their own, and for them to have it in their heart. And so it's not just having the right answer, but it's understanding it and being able to speak eloquently about it. So I think just the conversational tone of these books is just so great, and that will really spark a lot of conversations, I think, with your kids. This book is one we're adding to G, I think. It's a little guide on how to pray, which I found really interesting. It's little short snippets, but it talks about how you can incorporate prayer into your everyday activities. It doesn't have to be your quiet time in the morning where you spend an hour journaling and going through everything. It can be during the day. It can be in your quiet moments that you have. It can be when you're in trouble, when you need help, those kinds of things. But just reminding you that you can pray all the time. You can have this constant dialogue with God. So this is a really good introduction to that. We do have another one about keeping your kids on God's side, also talking about how to build a lasting faith. And that's also one that's written to the parents, but really good to read together. So we think that will be really nice. There's this really well-known book, The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. This one just gives you a general how to incorporate God into your life and how to have it be a theme throughout to give you purpose in the world. So that's a well-known one, and I think people will really enjoy reading that. In the earlier years, we have a case for kids. So a case for Christ, a case for the Creator. We have a condensed version that's for kids, and we're adding in those adult versions later on, the full versions of them. So we have both of those that are going into the high school programs. Really, again, just to flesh out why we believe and what we believe in. So those are going to be really good. And then a large apologetics book, a really good apologetics course, not large, it's skinny. What do you need to know about defending your faith? I talked to a lot of Sonlight graduates, and they go to church, they talk about Christ in their life with their parents, and then they get to college and it's a different atmosphere, depending on where they go, or they get out into a job with people who don't have that faith. And so we want to like equip them now and have those conversations now so that they know what they believe and they can honestly talk about it with people and share that with others. So these are really good ones that I think we're really equipping our children for their future.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I love how you were talking about the earlier years were equipping the parents to answer the questions, right? I know young children oftentimes ask deep spiritual questions that maybe are harder for us as the parents to answer. So I love that we're starting out in those earlier levels, equipping the parents to answer those questions. And then as our children get older, we're equipping them, like you said, to defend their faith once they are out on their own. I think that is extremely important. And so I love how it's kind of progressively changing, from parent to student. At almost every level, it feels like we're adding in some new books like that. So
Correct.
so you definitely want to check that out. And even if you're maybe looking at updating your program for a younger student or something like that, there's a lot of great resources. So that is great. Thank you for showing us all of those.